My name is Katie. It is early afternoon, mid-afternoon, somewhere in that time frame, and I'm feeling kind of hungry. I'm also very, very tired. We had a very big weekend with a lot of family things, which was super fun, but I'm feeling really sleepy, and so I think it's time to get a snack, maybe go sit outside for a little bit, and spend a little time sharing some delicious food with you. So, if this is your first time watching one of these videos, my name is Katie. I am an eating disorder survivor, and I decided to make some videos where I share snacks and meals with lovely folks who might also be working on healing their relationships with their food, with food and their body. There we go. So that you don't necessarily have to eat your meals alone. So today I'm feeling tired, but that's okay. It's time to eat. Let's eat together. All right. So one of the things I've been thinking about is this adorable little hedgehog plate. This was a wedding gift from my Aunt Mo. She's my mom's best friend. Anyway, one of the things I've been thinking about is how I choose what I'm gonna have for meals and snacks. And this is something that, especially early in recovery, I found incredibly overwhelming. For anyone familiar with like eating disorder modalities and stuff, I grew up doing Maudsley or family-based FBT therapy, and one of the tenets of that is that your parents or your whoever is like your model person for FBT chooses all of your meals and snacks. So there's a really long stretch in my life where I actually didn't have any control over what food I ate. And that was separate from like eating disorder behaviors and stuff. It was a recovery, something that my doctors recommended for my parents to kind of help me figure out, just like to relearn to eat without thinking about what I was going to eat. But then as I grew up and subsequently relapsed and recovered, I had to really learn like, how do I decide what I want to eat and like what sounds good? And I'm someone who does not follow a meal plan anymore. I'm fully recovered, but I do still have sort of just like a generally strong sense of nutrition and also kind of a strong sense of what is needed for the different times of day and different, meals and snacks. So it's not necessarily that I hold myself to strict guidelines, but there are things that I like to think about. And one of the things that I think about with snacks is that I want my snack to usually include, let's anywhere from like 2 to 3 components kind of as a base. So that's kind of my starting place for deciding what I want to have for a snack. And then from there, I usually like to think about, where I'm at in my day and kind of what might feel like. In the other video, I ate a yogurt bowl. It was a little bit earlier, closer to morning, and I'm a huge fan of having yogurt in the morning. But now it's a little bit later in the day, and yogurt just doesn't sound good. I also had yogurt earlier today, so I don't really want to have yogurt again. You know what does sound really good is an apple and peanut butter. If you know me, you know that I eat a lot of peanut butter. I was one of those kids in elementary school that always had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And we have some really, really good looking Honeycrisp apples. So I think I'm going to take the sticker off of the apple. I'm going to have an apple, and then we actually have 2 different kinds of peanut butter right now. We have normal peanut butter. I pretty much only ever eat crunchy peanut butter. And then we also have almond butter. And so I think I might actually do like a little bit of both. And then kind of want something sweet too, but I don't know what that is. So I'm going to very carefully turn this so that I can open the other door of the cupboard. Delicate. Okay. Our pantry is kind of like, we have a kind of small house, so we have just like a little cupboard that we use for the pantry. And it's just my husband and I who live here, so it works out because we can fit everything in the pantry. Oh, that's right. You know what I have? I love, yes, Twizzlers. And I have these that are like the filled ones. I've also been sitting at my desk for a couple of hours. I work part-time as a bookkeeper and executive assistant, which is really not a job I ever thought I would have, but it's actually a really fun job. But it does mean that I do a lot of desk and office admin stuff. Tilt you down a wee bit so you can see my lovely overalls. Anyway, I've been sitting at my desk for a couple hours, and I know that a lot of times, I really push, there we go. Put those barn muscles to good use. I know that a lot of times if I've been sitting for a while, I get very, very tired. So, okay, there's my Twizzler. And then I really love this apple cutter. It feels like such an unnecessary thing to have, but it's actually so nice. Here is one of my promises to you. You will never, ever, ever see me measure my food in any way, shape, or form other than with a very nondescript utensil. I do not weigh my food. I do not measure it. Even when I'm like, hang on, you're really tall again. Even when I am like cooking or baking, baking is a little different because like that's chemistry, right? And you, actually, I think we're just gonna put you guys over here. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Baking's a little bit different, right? Because like that's chemistry, and so you have to be a little bit more precise. But when I'm cooking, I even rarely use like actual teaspoons and tablespoons. Like I'm a big eyeballer. I'm a big dash of that, a pinch of this. So very safe space here. You will not catch me. You know, I think we're gonna do a little bit more of the creamy peanut butter or crunchy. I was literally about to say we're gonna do a little bit more of the crunchy peanut butter because I'm kind of craving that crunch of the nuts. Versus the almond butter, which is creamy, so it doesn't have as much texture, which kind of gets back to something I was saying earlier about how I choose what I eat. And one of the things that I think about, and this was something that one of the dietitians that I worked with earlier on was really big on, was like what textures are going to be satisfying. So like right now I'm saying that crunch sounds really satisfying of the crunchy peanut butter and also the crisp apple. And then I know that if I have like the salty peanut butter and the tart apple, I'm also going to want something a little bit sweet. So that's why I've got my handy dandy Twizzler. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, measuring. I don't measure things. I don't weigh things. I don't use measuring cups. Like literally don't even own a full-size measuring cup, mostly because it broke. I have a quarter and a third measuring cup. Like obviously I use them. I like to bake and cook a lot, but I don't use any sort of like actual measure. All right. I'm tired. I've been inside at my desk for a couple of hours for a while. It's a beautiful spring day. We're gonna eat our snack outside. But because I'm outside means my dog also wants to be outside. So we're gonna bring Mr. Pippin outside. We have a very, very nice back porch that I do not take for granted. Hello, buddy. Come on. Go, go, go. Good job. There he is. The one, the only. Come here. Oh, he doesn't like it, but we don't have a fence and we live on a rather major road. And so if he wants to be out, oh, he's in my pocket. If he wants to be outside, he must wear his harness and go on the leash, which we call his safety rope. All right, Pippin. Okay. Now, let's see here. Where were we? We're gonna go, you can see his little ears. Mr. Pippin! Wow. All right. I'm gonna lower this. Do you also want an apple and peanut butter, buddy? I don't think that's a good idea. Okay, it's my apple and peanut butter. Okay. And I did put a jacket on just because it's a little bit breezy out here. Hopefully there wasn't too much rattling around from the buttons on the jacket because it does tend to make a little bit of noise. So I hope that wherever you are, whatever time of day it is, you have worked through the sleepies and have found yourself something to eat that is going to taste really delicious and satisfying. That definitely hits the spot. I chose correctly. And so I think we were kind of talking a little bit about like how to pick things when you don't know what you want to choose. And so one of the things that my dietitian did pretty early on for me when I was really trying to learn to feed myself was to we worked together to come up with a list of all the different like descriptors that you might use to talk about food, like sweet, savory, salty, crunchy, tangy, whatever words kind of come to mind off the top of your head. And then we had sort of like this master list, and I just worked on identifying when I was in the mood for different things. And this is an exercise that can really start to increase kind of like that somatic. You're gonna hear me say that word a lot. It's one of my favorite words. And it just means like of the body, in particular, like how it's relating to the mind, like the mind body connection. Um, it's a really good somatic exercise to start to understand like what in your body is the information that's telling your brain, like, hey, I want something sweet right now, or I want something salty right now. And for me, it looked like understanding what those words were and what were the words that I was the most drawn to. So maybe starting with like three or four, I'll just begin with like the big categories: savory, sweet. Um, I mean, those are kind of the two big categories, aren't they? Savory and sweet. And maybe you could expand it a little bit to like crunchy versus chewy, or hot versus cold, even. Like, do I want something like a frozen, like a smoothie, or do I want soup? And then just starting to ask yourself, like, what does it mean in my body? And like, what do I feel and experience when I'm wanting one of those things in particular? And if you have a moment where you're like, oh, right now I really want something sweet, like trying to record or take a little mental picture for yourself of what that feeling, what that sensation is like. But one thing this can really do is it's super helpful, like when you are maybe struggling a little bit with finding the energy to have a snack or a meal when you're feeling really tired, is if you know a little bit what those sensations feel like in yourself and you have kind of a database to pull on, it can be a lot easier to figure out, like, okay, I know I have to eat. I'm really tired. I don't want to have to decide what to eat. But I know when I'm tired, I really like blah, blah, blah. Or I know in general, this time of the day, I'm usually craving this. And so kind of being able to pull in those threads of information is actually a pretty useful like skill to have. I think something else that I really struggled with was um I felt like if I was gonna eat, I had to eat the perfect thing. And if I was gonna like take advantage of a meal or a snack, like it had to be the most satisfying and the most delicious thing I could possibly imagine. And one thing that was really big for me was actually like giving myself the permission for it not to be, and letting myself just kind of eat what was in front of me. So like opening the pantry and being like, cool, I see the peanut butter, I'm gonna eat something with peanut butter. It's the first thing I see. So of trying to decide what to eat and like building, kind of that introspective awareness of what does and doesn't sound good feels a little bit overwhelming. That might be something else to try. Is just like the first thing my hand touches is gonna be something that I'm gonna make a snack out of. We put up a bunch of more bird feeders behind me. I don't think you can really see them. There's like a shepherd's hook over there and stuff. Anyway, we've added some more bird feeders and I've been trying really hard to fill them up. Right now we just have kind of like a generic sunflower seed blend, but hopefully eventually we'll start to get some more like special food to attract some unique birds. But we're definitely becoming those people that are like really obsessed with the birds that we see in our back deck. But when I opened the door to come out here, there were a whole bunch of them on the bird feeders and they got really upset with me and flew away. So you probably can see them flitting around in the background, but I think they're kind of mad because I'm interrupting their snack time with my snack time. You know who else is feeling pretty tired? It's Mr. Pepin. Are you so sleepy? He's crashed. I would say that he's solar charging when he lays in the sun like that. Hopefully whatever you're feeling tired from is a good thing and an exciting thing. But if it's not, all the more reason to take a moment to pause and nourish for a little bit. And that's one thing that I really noticed about recovery is like life happens fast, so unbelievably fast. And we all know it and we all talk about it, but if you're in any sort of recovery, particularly if you're following the like prescribed schedule of 3 meals and 3 snacks, you're gonna be stopping a lot during the day to eat. And it can feel like a massive imposition. And sometimes it feels like it's hard to find the time to do that, especially if you're like trying to like really sit and mindfully eat your meals and snacks and everything. But it's actually such a cool opportunity that you get to really slow down and kind of like structure your day around those meals and snacks and have these very deliberate pauses in your day. And I think now, like, I don't necessarily always like stop and do nothing but eat my meals and snacks. I mean, there's definitely long periods of my life where that was the case, and definitely moments when I do that, like this, where I just stop to only eat. And it's a skill that I continue to be super grateful for because it really is just like a true pause and moment in the day. Oh, there's a little bird in the grass behind me. Where I'm not doing anything else and I'm not rushing. And I think actually it's there's a lot of skills that you learn in eating disorder recovery that I'm so grateful for because I think they set me up better even than people that don't necessarily have an eating disorder, just like having done that work. Like knowing how to be in a changing room and not getting like over, like knowing what skills to take into a changing room or knowing how to deal with like body changes and stuff. Like those are life skills regardless of whether or not you've ever been diagnosed with an eating disorder. Um, but having the life skill of like pausing to mindfully eat is another huge one that I don't think gets talked about very much. But it is really a slowing down thing. I misjudged the amount of peanut butter to put on my plate. And now I have 2 apple slices left and not very much peanut butter. So they're gonna be more apple-y and less peanut buttery. I think especially on days when you're tired, it's such a nice gift to be able to give yourself, like if you can't go take a nap or, do something a little bit easier to just say like, I'm gonna take 5, 10, 15 minutes to, just sit for a second and just like pause and refuel a little bit. And if you're sharing this meal or this snack with me, even better. We're gonna be sleepy snack eaters together. It kind of reminds me of that song on I don't know why, I'm not sure it's like a direct correlation, but like the one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater, but we're like snack eaters, purple snack eaters. Yeah, we'll go with that. Um, my sister and I actually dressed up as those for Halloween one year. She was a flying pink people eater, and I was a flying purple people eater. And I think we had horns made out of little like paper towel rolls that we'd painted purple and pink and whatnot. I'm not sure what the rest of our costumes looked like, but I do remember that, and it was pretty cute. Okay. There's my apple and peanut butter done, as I suspected. I'm very excited about my little Twizzler moment I'm gonna have. I also have some pomegranate hibiscus iced tea, which is super delicious and very spring thematic of me. I actually drink it year round, so I'm not sure it makes that much of a difference. But I really should have worn sunglasses to do this. I don't know what I was thinking. Normally I always have sunglasses on. I have blue eyes, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I feel like it's true that they're way more sensitive to light because if I'm outside without a hat or sunglasses, I'm miserable. Mm. I love Twizzlers. I'm a huge fan of kid candy. I always tell my husband like for Valentine's Day or whatever, like don't get me a box of chocolates. Don't get me any like fancy dark chocolate or anything like that. Like I want a bag of sour gummy worms or Twizzlers or Mike and Ike's or something like that. Skittles, sour Skittles are amazing. That's my kind of candy or sweet treat. I especially like red vines when you can kind of like bite off the bottom and the top and use it as a straw. Used to be my go-to move at the movie theater as a kid. Probably still would be if I went to the movies, but I don't go to the movies that much. Okay, snack done. I'm still feeling tired, but at least I got my snack in. Pippin is on the move. He's finding a shadier spot to hang out, and I might sit out here and just be in the sunshine for a little bit. Oh, I'm probably gonna end the video here, but thank you so much for joining me and having a snack. I'm very proud of you. If there's anything you need or anything I can do to support you in your recovery journey or just in whatever path life is taking you on at the moment, please feel free to let me know. I'd love to chat. Thanks so much for coming. We'll see you soon. Bye.